problems in our computer. We were fixing it and finally we did it. Here we are, 22 people. So I think we can start our lesson today. Everybody, are you fine?
Merhaba hocam. Hello teacher.
Hello, and good evening. So we start our lesson today. But before starting, tell me, were you in previous classes? Today is session 5. So were you in session 1, 2, 3, 4? Were you there or no? This is your first time in this class. No answer. You can type in the group chat also. So I think everyone is afraid of the situation and they don't answer. Right? First time, I see some answers here.
First time.
First time. Okay. So you missed 4 sessions. What is today's topic? What my class's topic is this. We are checking English common errors, most popular problems or errors that people have in using English, learning English, speaking English, and writing English. So today is session 5. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Yes, everyone is the first time. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see today's lesson and we will start it. Of course, this class is a kind of interactive class. What is interactive class? We speak, we ask, answer. I ask some people to read, practice, and say. It's not a film, it's not a movie to watch and say, yes, I like it or I don't like it. No, it is the practice class, real class. Okay. Now, if you have, do you have any questions or problems before the class? No?
No.
No, all right. Let's start today's lesson. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, everyone is seeing my screen. That's nice. And let's start today's lesson. So up to now, we have studied 10 pages about English common mistakes. All right. Now we are on page 10 about advice. Advice number 1. Every time we read the true form and wrong form, and we learn the true forms and how to say, how to speak. So I need one person to read this part. Who wants to read this part, this blue part?
May I?
Yes, please.
Blue part, right?
Yes, blue part, yeah, here.
Advice noun tavsiye, advice verb öğüt vermek, öğüt vermek.
So it's not that. Tavsiye etmek. Not double öğüt vermek. Yeah, first one is advice, noun, advice. Second one is advise, advise. So advice is noun, advise is verb. Okay? Now let's learn how to use advice and advise in our sentences and in our conversations. First, we go here. Advice is an uncountable noun. We cannot say advices. No, it's uncountable. We never say advices. Like this, I could do with some advice. She gave me a good piece of advice. So for advice, we can say a piece of advice, All right. Now I want advice number 1. One of the ladies or gentlemen, please start reading this part. Advice 1. Who wants to read this part? Advice 1. Come on, one of you ladies and gentlemen. Yes, please, madam. Is it Duygu?
I asked my lawyer for her advice. I asked my lawyer for her advice.
Okay, so what is the difference? Number one, I asked my lawyer for her advice. I asked my lawyer for her advice. So here, the advice is true. Why? Here we have to write a noun like this. My, your, his. After these ones, we have to write a noun, isim. So advice is true here. Thank you so much. So who wants to read number 2? Who wants to read number 2, please? One person, please, come on.
I can.
Yes, please.
Okay. Nowadays, many doctors advise to live in the countryside. Nowadays, many doctors advise living in the countryside. Nowadays, many doctors advise people to live in the countryside.
Okay. First of all, what is the meaning of countryside? What is countryside? Who knows? Countryside. Countryside. Here we have the city.
Rural place.
Rural area, we can say. Yeah, here is the city. Countryside means outside of the city. Nature.
Hello, my teacher.
Hello, hello, hello. So countryside is the place out of the city, full of maybe mountains, trees, grass, flowers, countryside, not inside the city, outside of the city. So here, what is the problem? Nowadays, many doctors advise to live in the countryside. No, it is wrong. Why? Because here we have 2 forms. Can you see in this green part? Advise,
Yes.
somebody to plus verb. We have to use advise in these 2 forms. Number 1, advise, somebody to for a verb. For example, I say, I advise you, advise somebody, I advise you to go to school. I advise you to study English. I advise you to sleep early. I advise you to plus verb is important, like this, as you see here. Nowadays, many doctors advise people, somebody to leave. Yes? So it is the form 1. Second form of using advise is this. Advise doing something. Advise verb plus ing form. Advise leaving, advise playing, advise sleeping, advise eating, advise drinking, like this. Advise doing something. I would advise leaving, advise, and you see here, leaving very early. Then you'll miss all the traffic. So whenever you want to use advise in your sentences, you have to use in 2 formats. Number 1, advise somebody to verb, or advise verb ing form. Of green boxes, as you know, green boxes are the forms or patterns, or as you say in Turkish, kalıp. Next word that we have today that many people have lots of problems and mistakes understanding them and using them is this word, number 1. How do we pronounce it? It is affect. Can you see this yellow box?
Yes.
Affect. Okay? And the Turkish meaning, as you see, it.
Okay.
So who wants to read this part?
I can read.
Who's that? Is that Yağmur?
Tuba.
Tuba. Please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yes. The program is about computers and their effect on our life. The program is about computers and their effect on our life.
Okay. So first one is affect, as you see here, affect. Affect is wrong here. The true word is effect. Can you see the pronunciation here? Effect. It's etki. It's noun. Affect is verb, etkilemek. Effect is etki. It is verb. It's verb. So here, the true form is using the noun. So to affect something, verb, is to have an effect on noun, like this one. Smoking affects your health. Smoking affects your health. So it's verb. Or we can say smoking has an effect on your health. Smoking has an effect on your health. As you see here in this green box, affect somebody or something. Verb. It's a verb. Affect somebody or something. For example, affect my father, affect me, affect my city, affect my life. And here, effect, noun, we say have or has an effect on somebody or something. So we have to remember that if you want to use affect somebody or something. But whenever we want to use effect, noun, okay, we have to use this pattern, this column. Have or has an effect on somebody or something. Have, has an effect on somebody or something. Like, read number 2, one of the great readers here. Read number 2, please.
Can I do?
Yes, please.
I can read. I can read.
A lady here.
This problem has also affected on the automobile industry. This problem has also affected the automobile industry.
Okay, as you see here, this problem has also affected on the, no. This problem has also affected the, not on the. Why? Because the pattern for affect is affect somebody or something. Here, as you see, is the pattern. Affect somebody or something, no on. Fortunately, these new tax laws don't affect us, affect somebody. Here, this problem has also had an effect on the automobile industry. So have or has an effect on somebody or something. So we remember. Who can read this part?
I can read.
Yes, madam,
can.
please. Yes, please.
Yes, my name is Fulya. My father couldn't afford paying for my education. My father couldn't afford to pay for my education.
Okay. So what is the meaning of afford? As you see, I wrote here in Turkish, gücü yetmek or parası yetmek. How to use afford? Afford 2 plus verb. Afford 2 plus verb. We have to write it in this form. Afford paying? No. Afford to pay is true. Like this. Not many couples can afford to run 2 cars nowadays. So afford, you know the meaning of afford. I write here. You can do or you cannot do something. It's called afford. For example, I say I can afford to buy a car. Means I can buy a car because I have enough money. I can afford to study English. Means I can study English. Not ing form. Afford 2 plus verb. And in the green box, you can see the form or pattern for afford. So people, if you have no questions, we continue and we go to the next part. Afraid. Afraid. Who wants to read afraid part?
May I?
I can read.
Yes, please, madam.
The road to the airport was very busy and we were afraid to miss the plane. The road to the airport was very busy and we were afraid of missing the plane.
Okay. So what is the meaning of afraid? As you see here in Turkish, korkmak. We have 2 forms for using afraid. Be afraid to verb. What's that? İsteksiz. Whenever you don't want something, okay, you say afraid. I'm afraid. Okay. The other one, be afraid of plus verb in ing form, endişeli. Whenever you are worried. So, madam, can you please read this example here? Be afraid.
Be afraid to do something. Be unwilling to do something because you are frightened about what may happen. She was afraid to eat it in case it was
Poisonous.
poisonous. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay,
Be
thank
afraid
you.
of doing something.
So, just a moment, thank you. So, be afraid to do something. As you see here in green box, be afraid to verb. Unwilling. What is unwilling? Unwilling means you don't want it. İsteksiz. Okay? So, whenever you don't want to do something, okay, you say, I'm afraid to eat. I'm afraid to go. Why? Because I don't want to. Or I'm afraid to read. I'm afraid to play. It's like that. Read next part.
Me again.
Yes, please.
Be afraid of doing something. Be worried or anxious about something which might happen. Most criminals are afraid of being caught. He says that he is afraid of losing his job.
Thank you. So whenever you are worried or anxious, what is worried or anxious? Endişeli. So you are afraid of doing something. You have stress. You are worried. You're anxious. You don't feel relaxed. In that case, you use afraid in this format. Be afraid of verb ing form. I am afraid of, look like this, here, or be. Afraid of being ing form. Or he says that he is be afraid of losing ing form. So we use afraid in two formats. Number one, be afraid to verb. Number two, be afraid of verb in ing format. So other forms are wrong, like this. We're afraid to is wrong. It is wrong. Any problems or questions so far, people?
No, thank you.
No? All right. So I think my explanations, my examples is enough. If you think it's not enough, please tell me. I will explain more and more also. Now the word after. After, number one. Who wants to read after?
Hello, can I read?
Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Emre. Hello, everybody.
Emre, okay. So as you see, just a moment, Emre. The meaning of after I write here in English. Then in Turkish you say sonra. Please, Emre.
After a week, we are going to Italy. Continue.
Yes, please.
In a week's time, we are going to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that I'll still be healthy after 10 years. I hope that I'll still be healthy in 10 years' time.
Okay. So what is that? Here, using after is wrong. Why? Look at this one. Now, future. From now to future, if you speak about from now to future, one time in the future, for example, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, okay? You have to use these two formats. Number one, in days, weeks, months, time. For example, you say in 2 days time, in 3 weeks time, in 5 months time, okay? Or in days, weeks, months, in 2 days, in 3 weeks, in 4 months. Emre, can you read this part, please?
First, when you mention a time in the future that's measured from now, the moment of speaking, use in a month's time, in 3 weeks' time, etc., or just in a moment, in 3 weeks, he will be back again in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, yes. So you can use these two formats in days, weeks, or months, or in days, weeks, months, time. Use the time. In 3 weeks. So we understand these two patterns. Pattern number 1 in days, time, weeks, time, or in days, in hours. So note the alternatives. A week from today, we're going to Italy. I hope that I'll still be healthy 10 years from now. So again, it's the beginning from now to future. Thank you. So after number 2, who wants to read this part? After number 2, please.
If you want
I
to continue.
Please say the names. I pick up the names. People say, I don't know who you are. So if you say your name, I can pick one name.
Errol.
Errol and others?
Emre.
Emre and?
Aslı.
Aslı. So now I ask Aslı, please. Aslı, read number 2.
I promised to meet Hitomi at the exhibition a week after. I promised to meet Hitomi at the exhibition a week later.
Okay, what is promise? Promise, no. Promise, promise. Promise. Promise means in Turkish, you say söz ver. Yes. So I promised to meet Hitomi at the exhibition here a week after, a week later. A week after is wrong. A week later is true. And read it, please. I return to Enisa. Sorry.
Emre,
Who's
can I
reading?
Enisa or somebody?
Emre.
Okay.
Okay.
I returned to Germany after 2 years' time. I returned to Germany 2 years later.
Yeah. So after 2 years' time or 2 years later, which one is true? 2 years later, later in the future. If you want to read, please raise your hand, then I will turn your microphone on, okay? Just relax and we continue. So what is the technique here? From past to past, past to past. In the past, for example, 2 days ago until 1 day ago, 2 years ago until 1 year ago. Past to past, we say later, like this. I promised. Promised is the past form. I promised to meet Hitomi at the exhibition a week later. A week after is wrong. I promised in the past to meet Hitomi at the exhibition a week later, 1 week later. And next one, I returned, again, past. I returned to Germany after 2 years' time. I returned to Germany 2 years later. Again, everything is in the past. Past to past, not present. So for past to past, we use later, not after. And so if you want to read this part, please write in the group chat. Okay? And I will turn on your microphone because I turned off all the microphones here because in the group I see some animals. We have some cows or animals here. So yes, Ayşenur, yes, please. Ayşenur, can you raise your hand over there? Just a moment. So here, yes. If I see your hands, I can unmute you. So I unmute Tuba.
Okay, sir.
Yes, please.
After 1961, the consumption of cheese has increased each year. Since 1961, the consumption of cheese has increased each year.
Okay. So again here, again, past to past, past to past. After 1961, the consumption means using. Consumption of cheese has increased each year. Since 1961, the consumption of cheese has increased each year. What is since here? Let's read this part. Who wants to read this part? I ask Melike. Melike, can you read this part?
Okay. To
Yes,
refer to a period, this part.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. To refer to a period of time that begins in the past and continues up to now. The moment of speaking, use since, not after. I've been standing here waiting for you since 3:30. She hasn't to see us since she got married.
Thank you for your nice reading, and you have a nice accent.
Thank you,
So
sir.
here we have this story. If you focus, here we have now to future, now to future. So we use in times or in days or weeks or months. Next one is past to past, and the number 3 is since. What is since? Since is past to present. Past to present. We use since. Okay. So remember, past to past we use later, past to present we use since, and present to future we use those two structures for in days or weeks or months, or in days, weeks, months time. Remember these 3 formats. Thank you. So here we go with number 4. Who wants to read number 4? I'm checking the hands here. I'm checking hands here. Who wants to read? Please raise your hand. Good. Very good. I see Naz here. Let me unmute you. Naz, can you?
Yeah.
Please.
My
read
first
number
aim
4.
is to get a master's degree. After, I would like to go and work in Canada. My first aim is to get a master's degree. Afterwards, I would like to go and work in Canada.
Read.
Okay. A police car arrived within minutes, and soon after an ambulance came. A police car arrived within minutes, and soon afterwards
Just a
an
moment.
ambulance came.
Okay. And the last one, a police car arrived within. Naz, can you read the last one? This one.
A police car arrived within minutes, and soon afterwards an ambulance came.
Very good, thank you. So how can we use these words? Here we have 4 words. Number 1, we have afterwards. Afterwards. In Turkish, we say sonradan or ondan sonra. Here we have soon after. Soon after. Hemen sonra. Here we have not long after. Means çok vakit geçmeden. And the last one, just after. Hemen sonra. So we have to learn how to use these words in our sentences. After is used instead of afterwards only in informal style. So whenever you are in informal situation, friendly situation, okay, you can use after. But in formal situations, like writing, like speaking with other people, you have to use afterwards. Usually in phrases such as soon after, not long after, or just after. Careful users generally prefer afterwards. So afterwards is the best word to use here, okay? Not after. Especially at the beginning of a sentence. Shortly afterwards, it was announced that the bank had collapsed. In American English, after is often used instead of afterwards. In American English, you can say after, it's okay. But in British English, they like to use afterwards more than after. They all have nearly the same meanings, okay? But their uses are different. So remember these 4 words: afterwards, soon after, not long after, and just after. Number 5. Number 5, I'm checking the hands here. Number 5, I see here G Pinar. G Pinar. I ask you to read this part.
Hi.
Yes,
My name is-
please. Hi. Yeah, number 5, please.
A police car arrived within minutes and soon after an ambulance came. A police car arrived within minutes and soon afterwards an ambulance came.
Yes, like this one. Soon after, soon afterwards. If you use soon after in America, it's okay. But British people like to say soon afterwards. What is the difference between soon after and soon afterwards? Soon after is not very formal, it's somehow friendly, but soon afterwards is a little formal. Okay? And here, Pinar, please read this part. Informal. You cannot. So I read this part. Informal styles, after is used in phrases such as soon after, not long after, and just after. Careful users prefer afterwards. So we understand afterwards is formal, and then soon after, no longer after, just after is informal or friendly. The differences is like this. Thank you. Number 6. Who wants to read number 6? Number 6. Please raise your hands. Number 6. Yes, here we have a hand. Melike and Ayşe Nur. Ayşe Nur, number 6, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ayşe Nur, I can hear you.
Okay. I studied English for 2 years. After that, I got a job as a stewardess on an American airline.
Stewardess, yes.
Stewardess on an American airline. After studying English for 2 years, I got a job as a stewardess on an American airline.
Okay, so what happened here after that, and here we have after studying. What is the difference between this sentence and this sentence? As you see here, number 1, first sentence, there are 2 sentences. I studied English for 2 years, and after that, I got a job as a stewardess in an American airline. 2 sentences. But second one is 1 sentence, mix of 2 sentences. 1, 2, but second one is mixed sentence of 2. So if you want to mix 2 sentences, you have to write like this. Just a moment, I show you. If you want to mix 2 sentences with after, you have to use like this in green box. After plus verb ing form. After plus verb ing form. After studying, after going, after coming, after sleeping, after reading. Okay? All the times in ing form. Here we go. The meaning then can be expressed in a number of ways. For example, afterwards. What is the meaning of then? Means afterwards or later on, subsequently. As you see here, I wrote the Turkish meanings. Later on means daha sonra, or subsequently means sonradan. So all the times, if you want to use after in your sentences to mix 2 sentences, okay, use after plus verb in ing format. Okay. And here, Let's go to the next part. After all, yes, let's read this part. This is the last part of today's lesson. After all, after all. Thank you for clapping. And here we go. After all, who wants to read this part? Ahmed. I turn on your microphone. Ahmed.
First, we got stuck in a traffic jam, and then our car broke down. After all, we decided to cancel the trip and went back home. First, we got stuck in a traffic jam, and then our car broke down. In the end, we decided to cancel the trip and went back home.
Yes, here as you see, after all, and here in the end. What is the difference between after all and in the end? After all in Turkish means hepsinden sonra. In the end, sonunda. The last item. In the end is the last item. Okay? So there is a difference between after all and in the end. In the end, in English, we say finally. Finally, we decided to. Finally. Ahmed, can you read this part also? We stopped.
Sorry?
Read this part. We stopped for a...
We stopped for a meal on the way, and after all, we didn't arrive until midnight. We stopped for a meal on the way, and in the end,
we didn't arrive.
We didn't arrive until midnight.
Okay. So here we go. Again, after all and in the end. In the end means finally. We don't use after all in this case. Okay. Whenever you want to say finally or in the end, we never use after all. We just say in the end or finally, not after all. Okay. Thank you so much. This is the end of today's lesson. Session 5 is over. Okay. And thank you for joining us, number one. And number two, I have to say, please excuse us. Please excuse me to turn off your microphone because I think there are some animals attending in this session. So I wanted to stop them. So here, if you have any questions or problems, you can ask in the group chat because I don't want to turn on the microphone. And if you have no questions or no problems, I have to say goodbye until the next time. Thank you so much. So I think there is no problem. I won't succeed anything in my life. Why, Ahmed? What happened? Thanks, I have a question. Hazel, please type in the group chat. Or Hazel, you can raise your hand. I will turn on your microphone. Hazel, please raise your hand. Okay, I can turn on your microphone. So the channel in YouTube, you can write in YouTube, Taç Yabancı Dil Kursu, okay? And my name is Brian. I'm typing in the group chat. Brian. This is my name. And yes, Hazal. Hazal, now you can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Would you send the document on email or other way?
Let me tell you, Hazal, these videos, okay, will be recorded and will be uploaded on YouTube channel, okay? So you can see over there, everything is over there in details.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Of course, the video is not in the YouTube now, but in the future, maybe in 2 or 3 days, after 2 or 3 days, you can see it in YouTube channel.
Okay, thank you so much again.
Welcome. Have fun. And anybody else? All right. Thanks, Ahmed. And here again, if you want, if you want to keep in touch with me or have contact with me, I write here my in group chat. I write here my what's that? Instagram account, so that you can check my posts, or if you have any questions, you can check in the Instagram account and I will answer your questions over there also. I write here. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. So let me write here in group chat. I think you cannot see it. Just a moment. Can you see? This is my account. This is my Instagram account. You can see it. If you have any questions, you can ask me over there. So have fun, everybody, and good evening, I have to say. No, not M at the end. Ahmed is wrong. At the end, there is no M, there is an R. Here. This is my account. You're welcome. Okay, thank you, everybody, and hope to see you in the next meeting. And have fun. Goodbye. I'm ending the meeting. Yes, exactly, Jakob. Yes, means writer. Olcay. Bye. See you.